Alright, so this is a budget gaming PC build for Hamza Mukhtar, 2000 reals. Now it's really cutting it, 2000 reals. That's really, well, it's difficult building a PC build with this, but I guess we can do something for a budget gaming build. So let's see what we can do now. I've given it some thought, and I'm taking into consideration that you're getting a new monitor as well. So let's see what we can get in with this build. Now, this is really budget constrained. You can get better builds for slightly higher prices, but if 2000 reals is what you want, that's your budget, so that's it then. So let's see now. The main thing that we're going to do. We're going to go as low as possible on the parts. Doesn't mean that they're bad quality or anything, just as low as possible on the parts. And then we'll see what is the remainder of the money and what we can put into the GPU, which is the most important part when it comes to gaming. Right? So as long as the CPU will not bottleneck the GPU, that's all that matters. So we'll go as cheap as possible on all the other parts, yet put most of the money into the GPU. Okay, so let's get started. Now normally for a budget gaming build I'd recommend an AMD Athlon 2 X3, but with Intel's new Pentium G620 and Celeron processors, that just changes the story completely. Pentium G620 is cheaper than the G620 is cheaper than the Athlon 2 X3. G620 is 215 reals, while the Athlon 2, the X3, is 330 reals. That just doesn't make any sense for gaming anyway, because Pentium G620 easily beats the Athlon 2 X3 when it comes to gaming. So you want to stick with Intel these days. So for CPU now, going as low as possible in the CPU, you can still go below the Pentium G620, which is a good CPU for gaming. You can go with the, well, here it is, let me show you. It's the Celeron G530. Now I'll go into more details now. Celeron G530, which is LGA, yes, LGA 11, yeah, LGA 1155. So basically what this is, LGA 1155 is an i3-2100. Just a sec. Yeah, it's an i3-2100 with no hyper threading. Okay, you don't need the hyper threading for games anyway. Also, it's clocked at 2.4 gigahertz instead of the i3-2100's 3.1 gigahertz. Well, that's okay. You'll have to deal with that if you're going for a budget gaming build. Also, your RAM. Yeah, the RAM will be limited to 1066 megahertz instead of the normal 133 megahertz. Now, okay, it's a bit of a drop, but not too much, so it shouldn't affect your gaming performance. Should be just fine. You might be able to overclock it as well. So, Celeron G530. Now, this comes in at, I think it's really cheap. The Pentium G620, which is good in my opinion, which is 2.6, which is basically this same processor but at 2.6 gigahertz. Now this one is no, the Pentium G620 is 215 reals, but this one I'd say is roughly 160. So the amount of money that you cut off from the processor you can add onto the graphics card. So let's move on then. Motherboard now. Just don't get me wrong, this is good enough for gaming as long as you have a CPU that will not bottleneck your GPU. That's all that matters. Motherboard now. Let's take a look. Yeah, I'd go with this one. It's called a Gigabyte H61M- what was it again? Yes, M-S2P-B3, and this comes in for leave it for a moment. What the features of this board now, there's not much to it. You can see here there are 2 DIMM slots for your RAM. You shouldn't need more than 2 if you're looking for dual channel memory. That's 2 memory sticks in here, which is enough, I'd say. Yeah, you have 1 PCI Express slot for your graphics card, and if you have any older cards from your older computer, you have these 2 old PCI slots, these legacy PCI slots. Also, you have 4 SATA connectors here, SATA 2 for your hard drives, and yeah, that's all about here. Here are your front panel USBs. Here's your audio, your USB, and another USB panel here. Side view now. You have your normal standard audio jack. You have 4 rear panel USB, Gigabit Ethernet, VGA out, where if you ever need to swap out the graphics card, you can just use your normal integrated graphics as a backup. And if you have any older keyboards at all, here's your PS2 or and the mouse keyboard as well, but you can also use USB if you have USB keyboard. If you also have a very old printer, you have a parallel port that you can use. Alright, so this comes in. Now note also, there is no USB 3.0 on this one, and no SATA 6 gigabit per second, but as far as I've seen nowadays, there's no use for USB 3.0, and SATA 6 gigabit per second is only for SSDs, which is not going to fit your budget in any way. They're just too expensive and not really needed at all. No, not needed at all, that's it. So this is roughly 225 riyals. See, I'm saying roughly because the parts that I bought, I looked at their prices in Jeddah. Now the prices in Dammam will not necessarily be the prices as in Jeddah, but they should be close, right? So if you find someone trying to sell it to you for a much higher price, you'll just know that they're just rip-offs. A GPU, leave this till the end, till we find out the total cost, and then that's 2,000 riyals minus the total cost of the entire build will go into the GPU. Okay. RAM now. RAM's cheap. Just go with a standard Kingston 4 gigabyte stick. That's at 1333 megahertz, and this is nice and cheap. I got it for yeah, I got it for 83 riyals, but yes, I got it for 83 riyals. So let's just stay where you are. It's roughly 85 to 90 riyals, about that. I would say stick with a 4x1. That means it's only one stick, which is 4 gigabytes. Reason being is that on your motherboard you have only 2 DIMM slots. If you were to go with 2 sticks, each one is 2 gigabytes, yes, you will get dual channel memory, which is slightly better than than one single stick, but in the future you might wish to upgrade to 8 gigabytes, so that you're not stuck with 4 gigabytes. Stay with one stick for now, and if you ever want to upgrade in the future, you will then have dual channel 8 gigabytes of memory, which is more than enough, more than what any gamer would need, I'd say, any budget gamer. So yes, I'll keep that till later. So that's 85 riyals. Yes, it is. Hard drive now. Just a standard Western digital, Western digital, 500 gigabytes, 70 to 100 RPM. Yeah, 70 to 100 RPM. That's enough. This is around. I got mine for 270 riyals. You will find shops trying to sell it to you for 340 and 350. Those are just rip-offs. Try to get it for 270. That's the minimum price I've seen around here. So if you can get it for that price, that's good. Now, DVD drive. You have light on. LG, Sony. I just stick with Lighton because it's the cheapest and there isn't much difference between the others. I have a Lighton drive here myself and it hasn't given me any problems. Very nice, smooth, quiet, nothing wrong with it at all. And I got mine for 65 reals, so you should find it around that price. Usually other retail stores will sell it for 70 or 80. Try to get it for 65 since that price is available and since it's the lowest. Case now. Considering this is a budget gaming build, now normally I'd like to go with nice cases that were imported from the States or so. Thermaltake, Corsair, and so on, Antic, but they're quite expensive, and seeing as your limit is 2000 reals, I want to make sure that as much money as possible goes into your graphics card for the smoothest gaming experience. So I'd say just take any case at all which will house all your components, yeah? What am I writing? Any case at all to house all the components. I'd say they're very cheap. Don't pay more than a 100 reals. If you want some sort of nice case, you do have some Gigabyte cases ranging from 120 to 150 reals, but I just stick to any normal generic case. There isn't really much of a difference between for the branded cases, they're designed better for better airflow, longevity, but I doubt your system will be putting out any heat at all, so you won't have to worry about heat output, I'd say. So you'd be safe enough sticking with any generic case at all. So I'd say 100 reals maximum. Power supply. Now you do want a good power supply to make sure that, in short, just to make sure your system doesn't blow up, since you'll be putting a graphics card in there. Now where I've been, I haven't found any good power supplies at all. It's all Gigabyte power supplies, which are not that good, and lots of other Chinese generic unbranded ones which you want to stay the hell away from. There is one option that we can choose here, which is from Corsair. It's called the it's called the Corsair CX430. Now around here we have Corsair CX430, 500 and 600, but for your build 430 should be enough. And it's this one right here. What about it now? It's a good power supply really, and the only one available, I'd say, from Corsair, this series anyway. So as the name suggests, it's 430 watts and it's 80 plus certified, which is what you want to find from a power supply, which means it's a good power supply. And yes, 80 plus certified, so that means it is 80% efficient. What's also about it is it has a good number of amps on the 12 volt railing. My 500 watt Corsair power supply has 34 amps on the 12 volt railing. So I'd say this one maybe has just under 30, maybe 28 to 30 or so, maybe a bit less, maybe 25, I'd say. Roughly 25. I didn't bother checking, but it is a good power supply, 80 plus certified, and frankly the only one available at an affordable price. This is nice. It's when I saw it, it was 240 reals, which is a bit expensive, but not as expensive as all the other power supplies ranging into 400, 500, 600 reals. This is enough. So now that we have all this, let's also take the monitor into consideration. Monitors now. Keep in mind, I usually keep the monitors as a separate purchase, but it seems that you'll be getting a monitor brand new, since I don't think you'd be having any decent monitor to start off with. So good one to buy is well, first of all, now scattered in the market in Extra or Jareer or wherever you go, you'll find these LG and Samsung 18.5 inch monitors for what, 375 400 reals, around that, and frankly no good really. 1366 by 768, no DVI input, just VGA. You don't get much from it at all. It's not really that good. Whereas after searching around a lot, and I mean a lot, I've had hell looking for a decent monitor here in Saudi Arabia, I did manage to find that BenQ is a solid choice, and this one is a BenQ G2220. Usually there's sometimes HD, sometimes HDB, but just make sure that it's a BenQ G2220. It's a 1080p monitor and it is 22 inch. That's nice. What else does it have? It has DVI input, which is of a higher quality than VGA input for your gaming, and this is very nice really. It's 480 reals, and that's sweet. Yes, it is 480 reals for a 1080p 22 inch monitor with DVI input. And well, the competition from Samsung and LG, you typically don't find 22 inch monitors for less than 600 reals, 700 reals. This is a solid choice, so stick with that. And yeah, now let's move on to the GPU. First of all, let's calculate the price of the build. That's GTFO 160 plus 225 plus 85 plus 270, 65 plus 140 plus 480. That's 1,625. So 2,000. No. So 375 reals goes to the graphics card. Yes. So 375. Let's say roughly you'll pay maximum 400 reals for your graphics card. Alright? Roughly 400 reals. You can get something for 400 reals. Ah yes. This is the BenQ I was talking about, the G2220. This is a HDA model, it seems. And you can see, nice and sleek, big. Yeah, more than enough. Moving on to the graphics card now. Yeah. I'll open up all the websites I know of. Softland. I say prices like a general guide as to what the prices are of computer parts around here. Not nice, but you'll have to deal with them. Login. Oh, for God's sake, come on. Anyway, looking back here, 375, 400 reals, 6570 or GTS 450. I'd say GTS 450 is the better buy here. Let's see it. So it's a Gigabyte GeForce GTS 450. That's a good card, and popular with budget gaming builds, so it's a good that you can fit this into your budget. It's just below a GTX 550 Ti or a 6770. It's good. So let's see what we have available here. 2000 real graphics card. Now I'm sure you don't want that. It's more expensive than your build. Okay. So the Sapphire HD 7750. It's a good card, 480 reals. That's out of budget. 64. No, that's too little. Let's move on to the next. Nvidia 600. No. 160. No. No use. I'd say stick with the GTS 450, or what you can do is first of all, let's add here Nvidia GTS 450. I've actually tried out this card myself. I used to go to gaming cafes and try out the different computers there to see what the gaming experience like, and they had Nvidia GTS 450s, and I'm telling you, it's good. Yeah, it's good. I played games at 1680 by 1050 and it's good. It does the job fine. What you can do is find out all graphics cards available to you and let me know about their prices. Let me know what graphics cards are available and their prices so I can give you the best pick. So that does it then. GTS 450, that's roughly 400 reals. So let's calculate the total cost for your build again. Oh, come on. Yeah, there you go, 2025 reals. Just over budget, but just 25 reals extra. Sure your dad won't say no to that. So that's good, 2000 real budget gaming build with the Celeron G530. It's a dual core, so that's fine. And we're powering an Nvidia GTS 450, that's just fine. Gigabyte H61M basic board does the job. 4 gigabytes of RAM, 500 gigabytes of Western Digital, 7200 RPM. What else could you ask for? I have the same. Any DVD writer, any case at all, and a good, nice power supply to deliver nice, clean power to your components. And of course, a nice, really nice 22-inch monitor, which is 1080p. And I'm telling you, you will enjoy 1080p experience on desktop gaming. So there you go. That's a nice build for 2000 reals. Hope you enjoyed watching this video, and thanks for watching. Let me know how it goes for you. Bye.